I hope you're being patient with life. In an age where everyone claiming that being fast is the name of the game, it's really hard to be patient. And some will say that patience is a virtue given to a few people. But I can confidently say that patience is an ability. The ability to wait for the right moment without rushing. The ability to wait for your hard work to pay off, even if you can't see the results right away. I wanted to talk about patience because it is an ability I'm fascinated by those who have it. There are people with the ability to be patient with a lot of things that most people will find irritating or enraging. The patience of Ayub, peace be upon him, we say. Or for our fellow Americans, the patience of a saint. Which leads us to our first story. And now we'll try to fulfill every aspect of this story, but you can still look up the longer version of it. Link in the description. Ayub alayhi salam, which means peace be upon him, was a prophet of God. He lived in a town called Hawran. He was married to a woman named Rahma. He was a very wealthy man, someone who God, blessed him in every way possible. He was handsome and in perfect health. His wife was young and beautiful. He had lots of children and huge cultivations, hundreds of acres of land on which he had herds up to 1,000 of cattle, goats, sheep, camels, cows. He had so much wealth. He had over 500 families working for him. Ayub was a prophet of God, so he was extremely generous. There was no one in the city of Hawran that would come to him asking for some kind of help and wouldn't get something out of it, either money or a solution or anything. And the more he gave, the more Allah gave him. His wealth was increasing, his health was getting better, his children were bright and sharp, and he was a very happy man. On the other hand, the devil, shaitan, evil, out of jealousy of Ayub's blessed state, he decided to whisper to the people of Hawaran that the reason Ayub is the way he is because Allah gave him everything. That's why he worshipped him. I mean, watch. If Allah takes away from him, he would get angry and say that Allah is no longer worthy of my worship. And unfortunately, people bought it, saying that he doesn't have problems or worries. That's why he is the way he is. I mean, if we have the same wealth that he has, we'll be all prophets of God. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided to test Ayub and to show the people of Hawran that the fact he is a prophet has nothing to do with his wealth. And so the test begins. One day Ayub was praying and he heard a scream coming from his field. His servants told him that a group of people came and pillaged his land and crops. A few seconds after, lightning came from the sky, burning all of his cultivations and land into ashes. And that was just the start. His children were gathered eating food, and then suddenly the roof collapsed on them, killing them all in one instant. Not only that, but Allah decided to give Ayub every type of disease there is. His bones began to frail, his teeth fell out, his skin started to age, he had leprosy. Between day and night, this healthy, wealthy, beautiful man became the most tested human being on earth. Yet despite all of that, he decided to be patient with Allah. Ayub still had his wife. She was a righteous woman, and she decided to be patient with Ayub. Meanwhile, Shaitan wasn't stopping anytime sooner. He continued to whisper to the people that Ayub must have done a great sin. That's why he's punished by God like that. People buying these lies, they decided to banish Ayub into the desert, afraid that the punishment would also touch them. Ayub lost everything. His health, his wealth, his children, his land, his home. He wasn't even able to get up. His wife had to find a job, but unfortunately for her, people still afraid. No one decided to hire her. With nothing to bring home, she cut her hair and sold it, buying some loaves of bread with that money. Ayub, seeing the food and her hair, he got very angry and said that he would hit her if he could. In Islam, a woman selling anything of her body is like selling her body. Hearing him and burdened by all what happened to them, She started crying, telling Ayub to ask Allah to end the trail they are in. Some scholars say it was 18 years. Ayub asked Allah,
وأيوب إذ نادى ربه أني مسني الضر وأنت أرحم الراحمين.
Allah sent an angel to Ayub telling him, "What an honorable slave you are, being patient with Allah's decree." He told him to hit the ground with his leg. A spring of water came up, telling him to drink and wash from that water. Suddenly his skin and health was healed, and all of his illnesses were cured. His wife came that day and didn't recognize him, asking him about a frail man that was here. He told her it was him, Ayub, and asked her to drink and wash from that water, and she became young and beautiful again. Allah, in front of their eyes, as a miracle, resurrected all of their children and then gave them more. His wealth was doubled and tripled. His health was even better, concluding the test and proving to the people that his patience was why he was the prophet of God.
وأيوب إذ نادى ربه أني مسني الضر وأنت أرحم الراحمين فاستجبنا له فكشفنا ما به من ضر وآتيناه أهله ومثلهم معهم رحمة من عندنا وذكرى للعابدين.
And before you click away from this video saying this stuff isn't real or I'm not a believer, you don't have to be a believer to take away from this story, to understand the moral behind it. And I want you to know that there is no shortage of stories around people from our age that lost their children or their parents and then were blessed to know new people, or suffered diseases like cancer and then they were healed, or lost all of their fortune only to gain it afterwards doubled and tripled. Take away from this story that whatever happens to you, it's still not over yet. No matter how long your journey might seem, don't lose faith or hope that your patience will pay off, because we all know of the unfortunate souls that decided to stop life rather than go through it, because of their lack of patience. And as harsh these words might seem, it is the reality. Patience is the ultimate skill you can have treading life. And no matter how distant the world, problems and poorness and natural disasters might seem, life will test you, and sooner than you think. During the Second Punic War, Rome faced one of its greatest threats in the form of the Carthaginian general Hannibal. The name exactly is Carthago, which is Tunisia right now. Hannibal took a very harsh road, crossing the Alps into Italy. And although only half of his army was left after that harsh journey, he won several major battles against the Roman legion. As a consequence, the Roman Senate, and after many generals' failure to face Hannibal, decided to change their approach. They appointed Quintus Fabius Maximus, giving him supreme command to deal with the crisis. Understanding the superior tactics and the fierce resolve of Hannibal's army, Fabius devised a strategy that wasn't exactly traditional, unlike the Roman emphasis on direct engagement and fierce battles. Instead, his strategy was about patience and iteration, and he had to abide by a few rules in order to succeed. The first one being avoiding direct engagement. Fabius realized that engaging Hannibal in any kind of an open battle will probably lead to more casualties for Rome, so he chose to avoid any kind of direct engagement. That's where he used the second key rule, which is guerrilla tactics. Focusing on small skirmishes and raids, his troops harassed Hannibal's army. This strategy aimed to wear down Hannibal's armies slowly, to deplete all of their resources without risking large-scale battles. He also focused on defensive maneuvers, fortifying towns and strongholds, making sure that Hannibal cannot capture key positions easily, staying close to pose a threat, but quickly retreat to a defensible position when Hannibal decided to engage. And the last one being psychological warfare. Fabius' tactics also involve psychological elements, aiming to demoralize and frustrate Hannibal's army, denying them of any kind of decisive victory, keeping them in a constant state of vigilance and minor skirmishes, hoping to erode their fighting spirit. Do keep in mind that Fabius' world wasn't exactly paused. The world was still happening around him. Many Romans, used to aggressiveness and decisive military actions, saw his tactics as cowardly and undecisive, giving him the nickname of the Cunctator, meaning the delayer. However, despite all of that, his methods proved to be effective, and eventually Hannibal's army, far away from its base in Carthage, and reliant on local supply lines, began to suffer. As their numbers began to decrease, so their morale and strength, especially without the resources and the reinforcement they needed. Not only that, but Fabius' tactics bought Rome some valuable time to gather itself and recover from its losses, rebuilding its legion and eventually taking the offensive. And although he wasn't exactly the one who took down Hannibal, his tactics and method was inspiring for other commanders after him. The military strategist whose patience and prudent tactics exemplified the art of warfare. His legacy is a testament to the power of strategic patience and the importance of understanding the weaknesses and the strengths of both oneself and the enemy. Lately, I've been thinking of all the times I messed up and had regrets. And funny enough, all of them had one thing in common. I wasn't being patient. I always rushed and took the easiest choice. The mind hates discomfort and try to preserve energy at all cost. That's why it's way easier to sit down on the couch and play games all day long instead of doing work, thinking about all the uncomfortable stuff like the past, or even more uncomfortable, the future. It's easy to let yourself indulge in short-term relieving activities rather than structure your own future, even if that future is 10 times more comfortable than the present you're in right now. Our minds just cannot comprehend long-term plans or long-term solutions. But the funny thing is, and I say it's funny, patience has a weird effect on the mind. It teaches it to look at the horizon when thinking about anything. It will give your mind a simple trait, some discomfort right now versus long-term comfort in the future. Patience is the only ability that once you learn, it will help your mind understand the concept of a better future. So if you are someone who struggles with discipline, sitting 1 minute talking about all the things you're going to do, and then the next minute having no control over yourself, playing games for the rest of the day, then I think you should reflect upon your behavior with life. And you will most likely find that you're not a very patient person, and that your lack of patience is always cutting you short, making you always rushing the easy choices, because you cannot see the future. And even if you can see the future, you don't have the patience and the faith to see it through. Patience for me, or at least from all the stories I keep reading, is the pillar of success, which is why I'm trying to learn more about it. Surprisingly, my productivity has increased since I became aware of it. But there is a problem, and trust me, I learned this the hard way. You cannot choose when to be patient. You need to learn to be patient with everything, with annoying friends, or overprotecting family, with weird situations in life. When the pigeon suddenly decide to poo all over your new suit. Be patient with all aspects of life. So when life offers you its hardest test, you will be among the few people that passed the test, and they were patient enough to claim their prizes. Patience always pays. It paid the hunter for the long hours sitting like a rock. It paid the athlete for repeating the same exercises again and again and again. It paid the farmer for his long hard work in the summer. And it will surely pay you. Patience has a lot of aspects around it, and I decided to not preach what I still yet to learn, so I wanted to keep it as it is, a shower thought. I know that just thinking about it and becoming conscious of it will surely help you as it helped me, and you will come to realize on your own how important to be patient. Anyway, if you like this kind of raw content, then let me know in the comments. If you have any ideas, share them. Please, I'll be happy to read them and consider them. Other than that, thank you so much for watching the video till the end. If you like the video, then please leave a like. It will help YouTube identify this phase as good content, and it will help me and help many other people who see this content too. Subscribe so you don't miss the next video and many other good content in the future. If you want more, then please go and watch the other videos on my channel. They have another style, so you're going to like it. And yeah, other than that, thank you so much for watching, and see you all next time. And reliant on local supplier, and reliant on